So, can you start by introducing yourself and saying what your title is?
So my name is Sue Kiley, actually Susan M. Kiley, if you want the full name. I go by Sue, and my title is Deputy Director of the Monmouth County Freeholder Board.
So, can you explain what your duties are as the freeholder?
It's amazing how many people don't know what a freeholder does. And that's adults, kids, everybody. But if you think about it in relation to your town, so your town has a mayor and a council, right? And they are responsible for running your town. So whether it's your schools, your police department, your roads, all of that is their responsibility. But then there's a lot of that crosses over multiple towns. So the county officials, the freeholders, are responsible for those. So for example, we in the schools, we're responsible for Brookdale Community College. We're responsible for all the vocational schools. Towns have the police officers. We have the Monmouth County Sheriff's Department. We have the prosecutor's office. We oversee the clerk, Christine Hanlon, and her team that does all the voter registration and passports and all of that. We oversee the Department of Public Works on a county level. We have 1,000 bridges in the county, if you can believe that. And we're responsible for maintaining, repairing those. And we have just about that many miles of roads that are county roads, and we're responsible for maintaining those. Then we have the Health and Human Services Department, which oversees Medicaid, mental health, addiction services, behavioral health, the health department itself. And each one of the freeholders takes an area of responsibility, and they are the liaison to that particular department. We all oversee everything, but we focus on certain things. And because of my background as being a former registered nurse, guess which one I got? So I am responsible for Health and Human Services, which I'm thrilled with. Little did I know that having Health and Human Services was going to make me quite as busy as I am right now.
So, how have your duties changed now because of quarantine?
They've grown exponentially. So the responsibility or the oversight hasn't changed, but the department has gotten incredibly busy, as you can imagine. We've had to put emergency protocols into place, and we've had to deal with situations that we never had to deal with before. So it has gotten extremely busy. My role for Human Services is basically a support for the employees and the departments that fall under me, and making sure they have the resources they need. If they need to get the word out about something, I take that on personally to make sure the word gets out. So a lot of it we're doing now remotely, like this, or through press conferences. I don't know if you just saw, we just had a press conference at 10 o'clock. To get the word out and to make sure people know that we're working hard to protect them and to have solutions in place for everybody that lives in the county.
So can you talk a little bit about the press conference and what went on?
We've been doing a weekly press conference. And because of keeping social distancing and, respecting people's right to be healthy, I guess, our director, Tom Arnone, and I have been the only two, for the most part, that have been part of the press conference. Tom, because he's the director, obviously, and me because I'm the liaison to Human Services. And basically what we talk about is updating on where we stand. We reinforce the critical nature of social distancing. If you're wearing a mask to go into a store, it doesn't mean you don't have to social distance. And I've seen that where people all of a sudden feel overconfident that they're protected if they have a mask on, and that is not the case. They really need to stay distanced. So we talk about that. We talk about how hard we're working at the county level to be able to quantify and report on the number of cases. We talk about what we're doing at the county level to support our communities. So we created a reference guide, which we're in the process of finalizing. That reference guide will go to all of the towns so that they know where they can go for specific things. Like, for example, residents need somebody to deliver food to them, or to buy food for them, or to pick up their medications. This reference guide will have references per town that they can look at and say, okay, this is who I can call and they can help me. The other thing we're doing is that we announced was we're delivering meals. So a lot of our seniors would come to a senior center and they would congregate for a meal. Well, they can't do that anymore. So we're delivering 500 plus meals to senior citizens in their homes so that no one goes without that meal that they've become accustomed to. And we're doing that through partners like Interfaith Neighbors and others, local community volunteers that are helping us to get those meals out to the seniors. So that's, the other thing we talked about that our director mentioned was a new program that we put into place to help businesses. And Tom will talk to you more about this when you interview him. But it's called Takeout Monmouth. And basically providing a list and information on all the places where you can go for takeout meals so that we can promote our businesses and encourage business with them during this very difficult time.
Yeah, I actually interviewed the mayor of Middletown the other day, and he was saying that him and his colleagues, they set up a date to go to a certain restaurant to support that restaurant, and I thought that was really cool.
I was there with him.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just gonna ask you questions. You can answer on like the personal side and on the business side. So, how have you adapted overall to quarantine personally, and what changes have you experienced?
On the personal side, I have 5 children and I have 11 grandchildren. Wow. And they are all, so my house is usually a swinging door and there is always somebody coming in my house. So all of a sudden to have that door never open is an adjustment, to say the least. And I miss the kids, I miss my children, I miss my grandchildren desperately, but I've found new ways to communicate. So I discovered House Party. Who knew? And, I get to see them that way. And I know that they're safe. It's difficult. It's difficult for everybody when you're used to seeing your family. But if you know that you're doing it to keep them safe, you can tolerate it. But that's a real adjustment for me, because normally our door is a swinging door. We always have somebody here coming and going, and now it's very, very quiet.
So what actions have you and your family taken to stay healthy and social distance?
We're very, very strict about the social distancing. Even if someone comes to the house for something, they'll stay outside the house, drop something off, and then after they leave, we'll go out and pick it up. If we go to the store, we wear masks and gloves and social distance, and it's really, really important. And then, I wipe everything down. So if I go to the store, I have my gloves on, I have my mask on, I social distance, but then when I get in the car, I have sanitizer wipes. So I take my gloves off, I roll them up inside out, I throw them in the garbage, and then I wipe down the steering wheel, I wipe down everything that I touched so that I know I'm not bringing anything home to my husband that he doesn't want.
So can you talk a little bit about technology and what part that's played in quarantine?
It's funny. I've never been on so many conference calls in my life, and that's a good thing, because we can still communicate. We can still get things done. Our Freeholder meetings right now are streaming live. We have some of our freeholders that have opted to stay at home because they have young children or for whatever reason. But they can still participate in the Freeholder meeting. Imagine if we couldn't do that, everything would screech to a halt. So that's good news. What I'm noticing though is that, and I'm surprised I haven't cut out yet, a lot of times, cutting out of the video conference you're in, and we're looking at internet speeds and how robust they are and how we can make sure that we can continue to communicate. So many more people are using the internet, they're using Facebook, they're using Zoom, they're using House Party. I'm one of those. I never even knew House Party existed.
Yeah. I actually have an Android, so a lot of times my friends use FaceTime and stuff for the Apple, but I use House Party a lot. It's like the way I communicate.
That's right. You can use FaceTime only on the iPhone, right? But you have to use, okay, got it. Gosh, we use both.
Uh, um, so what is the importance of a routine to you, and how does this play in your personal life as well as professionally?
One of the things I want to talk about is routine. I was recently on a conference call with a group of young adults, probably similar in age to you, that are part of an organization for the prevention of teen suicide, which is a very serious topic. And they're talking on a regular basis, and they invited me to join their call to talk about, what this change in structure is doing for teens and adults for that matter. But it's very stressful because, there are people who really thrive on routine. And I have some of them are my family members. They like that this is the time they get up. This is when they brush their teeth. This is when they go to school. This is what they do. And they like that structure and rhythm. That makes them feel whole. Well, all of a sudden you take that away and it's a very unsettling and stressful situation. So, and then there are other people that thrive on being laid back and not having a schedule. It doesn't bother them that much. What's really important is that the people who are feeling stressed or are feeling out of sorts, I hate to use the word crisis because we don't think of this as crisis. We just think of ourselves as being unsettled or just not right. There are lots of phone numbers you can call and you can talk to people and get some help putting things in perspective. The last thing we want anyone to do is be suffering out there by themselves because there's so many resources. The Mental Health Board recently put out a request for therapists or people that are licensed that may have retired that want to come back and volunteer on our helplines. Within a day, we got 45 people who volunteered. So we've got lots of people that are willing to help, that have been in this profession, that could give advice on how to cope with things you haven't had to deal with in the past. And I just hope that people use them.
Hmm. So how has Monmouth County as a whole responded to the quarantine?
I have nothing but positive things to say about the residents of Monmouth County. I believe that we're all very resilient. We're all very responsible. And there's always a few that aren't, but for the most part, the response has been tremendous. It really has. We say social distance and people are social distancing. We say stay in your towns and they stay in their towns. Now the governor closed down all of the state and county parks, and we've gotten some pushback from residents on that. They're uncomfortable with that because that was one place they could get out and maybe take a run. And I understand that. I'm not happy with it either, but they're respecting it because we know that the more like this we do, the sooner we are over this and we go back to our regular life. So I'm very, very proud of the residents of Monmouth County. They're doing a great job.
So how have hospitals responded, and does Monmouth County have any cases of COVID-19?
Monmouth County has a lot of cases of COVID-19. We have a call on a daily basis where we go through all of the cases in the state and then how they break down by county. So, we're not the highest, but we're not the lowest. And we've got to continue to be diligent at fighting this virus. The hospitals are feeling, I think, and I don't want to speak for them specifically, but I think they're a little overwhelmed by the volume of cases that are coming in. Clearly, they're running out of protective equipment, and we're doing everything we can to get them what they need. But we are in new territory. We have never experienced anything like this in our lifetimes. And I have the utmost respect for the people that are the doctors, the nurses, the techs, everybody that's in there pitching in and, putting themselves at risk to help others. That's pretty amazing. And then the other people that are amazing too are people like, the cleaning people that are disinfecting, and the store workers who are coming in every day so that we can buy food. I mean, they're really to be commended as well. So everybody's pulling together in a situation like nothing we've ever seen.
So how do you think this will affect everyone when we come out of quarantine eventually?
Boy, I would love to say that we're all going to be better for it. I think, if nothing else, we'll wash our hands a whole lot more. That's something I didn't say yet in this conversation. I can't believe I didn't say that yet in the conversation. I think we'll wash our hands a lot more. I think we'll be a lot more cautious and sensitive to not passing germs. I don't think anybody wants to go through this again. My big fear is that we'll go back too quickly, that we'll jump right back into our normal lives and bam, we'll have a resurgence of this virus. We can't let that happen. So I'm going to rely on the experts that have done the studies and the analysis, and I'm going to follow the rules, and I hope everybody else does that too.
So how can students and members of the community be of service during this time?
First of all, you're helping everybody's health if you're following the rules. So if you're washing your hands, you're wearing your mask, you're wearing gloves when you're inside of a store, you're helping your community, because if you have the virus, you're not spreading it. And you're also preventing anyone from giving it to you. So that's a help in and of itself, just following the rules. But there are also, there are call lines, there are, deliveries that are happening to people's homes that, they can't get out to get food because maybe they have someone in their family that's infected with the COVID virus. So people are bringing food to their homes, dropping it at the front door. There's no contact. But that's a way to volunteer as well. The food bank is always looking for volunteers to help them. So like I said, there's lots of ways you can volunteer. You can get on the Visit Monmouth site and say that you're interested in volunteering, and I'm sure you would be steered in the right direction.
So this is my last question. What are your suggestions or words of wisdom for those struggling in this time?
Do not be alone. Do not allow yourself to be alone. Ask for the help, ask for the assistance, communicate with people that make you feel good, that motivate you. That's really, really important. We can't lose sight of the fact that even in a crisis, we have to find a way to have a little bit of fun. And that's important. Exercise, that's huge. I asked this group that I met with the other night by phone, I asked them, what do you do to relieve stress? That was a question I used to ask people when I was interviewing them for sales jobs, because sales can be very stressful. If you don't have a way to relieve that stress, you're going to eventually have problems. So I asked them that question, and I would ask everybody that question. What are you doing to relieve stress? Granted, your routine has changed, but how are you getting that stress out of your system? Whether that's doing push-ups or running around your house or reading a book, no matter what it is, it's a little different for everybody, but please find what it is and do it. Find the strength within yourself and reach out when you have to. There's no shame in that. We're all in the same boat.
Okay, thank you so much. Is there anything else you would like to say?
Thank you very much for caring and for doing this interview. This is great. I hope it helps a lot of people.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, my pleasure.
Bye.